Welcome to Legacy Sips and Tips podcast with your geeky host, Lindsay Wheeler, where we talk about everything from death, preparing for your future through estate planning, life, the occasional breakup, entrepreneurship, general nerdery, and of course travel, snowboard, and always wine. Welcome to Legacy Sips and Tips with your host, Lindsay, and today we're going to talk about all the single ladies. Tell me where you're at. We're going to talk about single ladies and maybe professional women and what that looks like for your estate planning. So this is kind of an interesting topic. People would claim that I'm one of these people. I'm just a professional woman with my cats, living alone in a life of misery. Just kidding. I do what we call whatever the fuck I want, which is kind of awesome. I also have a nice boyfriend now, so that's helpful too. But anyways, before that, what happens if you are a single woman in this world? This is becoming more of a trend. More and more of my friends are single women or just women who are the breadwinners in the relationship, making it happen. We have the advent of modernness in this country that we're able to do that. There are some countries now who are regressing, if you will, on women's rights. And it could be, even argued that we're going that direction as well, especially with this new election, whether that's your belief or not. We're just going to put that out there because there are people who do think that. In fact, they think so much about that there is a B4 or 4B movement, which was originated in South Korea, about women who are just tired of men's shit, frankly. And they are going back to taking back their power. They're not going to date. They're not going to have relationships. They're not going to have relations with men. They're not going to have children. They're just going to be single, independent women and live their best life. So this has become a little bit more prevalent with some of the talk with the political season that we had, and now going into this new 4 years that we're going to go into. So a lot of people are really kind of touchy about this subject, if you will. And the reason for that is that women didn't have a lot of rights. Up until the mid-1800s, the Married Women's Property Act, which gave women the right to own property and manage their own finances. That was the mid-1800s. Fast forward to maybe in your lifetime, or definitely your parents' lifetime, into the mid-70s, women were unable to actually apply for a credit card without a male co-owner. That's crazy, right? They couldn't manage their own finances. That's a kind of thing to think about, because under the legal doctrine called coverture, a woman's assets were controlled by her husband because technically she was the property of first her family, and then when she got married to the now property of her husband. So that's why would your property be able to go own its own property or to be financially independent, open its own bank account? And Ruth Bader Ginsburg was kind of instrumental in the 70s of getting those rights transferred over to women to be able to be financially independent. Fast forward to now, we are able to do all those things and more. We're able to open businesses, be our own managers, being our own owners of these businesses. We're able to have our own bank accounts, our finances, our property, all those amazing things that we should have been able to do the whole time, but now we're able to on an equal footing with our men counterparts. Not to say that there aren't still disadvantages. The wage gap is a huge one. The labor gap is another huge one, and the unpaid labor gap is a huge one as well, particularly not only as a woman, a single woman, or as if you're a woman of color, you're having even more disparity there. So these are big things that we still need to address and to get taken care of in our country, which hopefully that will happen sooner than later. So what's really important now is that if you are a single lady and ready to mingle or not mingle because you're following some other thing that you don't want to, and who's going to take care of these things for you? So again, you're probably not married. You maybe are estranged from your family, or your family is older as well, or maybe have already passed away. You don't have children if you've opted that route. So what happens to your hard work? You've worked hard. Maybe you've started businesses. You're independent. You're climbing that corporate ladder. You're doing all the things for you. What happens when you're not here? Well, of course, as you always know, is get that estate plan in place. Super important. You've got property. You have businesses. You have wealth that you've built. Making sure that that is set up in an estate plan to take care of you and for your management outside of the court or the state's system for you, or the state's plan. Again, having those powers of attorney designations. Who's going to make those medical decisions for you? Who's going to make those financial decisions for you if you're unable to? Maybe you're in a car accident. Maybe you get sick. Who's going to take care of your long-term stuff? That's where your trust comes in. Making sure that those things are all set up for you and your funds and your hard work goes where you want it to go, whether that is to family members, friends, charities. Your hard work goes where it wants to, and not just to either the state if there is no plan, or some relatives through intestate succession that you may not want having your things. So it's important to know that a lot of people think, well, estate planning is for if I have children or if I'm married. Well, that's not the case. And in fact, it's more important in a lot of ways for you as a single individual to have this estate plan in place because, again, that intestate succession, which is the state's plan, may not apply to you anymore. You might not be married. You might not have ghost kids. Who's going to take care of those decisions for you? Maybe your parents are older. Maybe they've passed away. Maybe you are an only child and you don't have brothers or sisters. Who's going to take care of these things for you when you're not able to? Because you might think you're very independent, you got your 8 cats, you're good to go. However, you're not good to go because, again, we're going to age, we're going to get older, and these decisions are going to have to be made for you. So you might as well get them done and taken care of while you have the ability to do so, whether mentally or physically, before it's too late. Because God knows you don't want to be a ward of the state. Or in that sense, too, if you've got your 18 cats, where are they going to go if you're not available to take care of them? You want to make sure that you have that pet trust set up within your estate plan to make sure that your furry critters and your happy animals go and still continue to live out their lives. If you don't have that in place, unfortunately, somebody will probably come take them to the shelter. That's a horrible reality. The state might step in and then take them to a shelter or to the animal control, which is a horrible thing. You as well. You might go to a state facility, a state home if you have nothing in place and nobody can access your funds, or you have the mental wherewithal, you might have to end up getting the state-appointed guardian, which, as we all know, I'm sure they do the best they can, but their caseload is huge, and you're just becoming a number. You're not somebody that they personally know on that level, even though I know they probably do a really great job. But again, it's state government making those decisions for you. It's probably not the best choice you want. So let me just give you a scenario for yourself here, right? You went to college, you've done a really good job, you're working in your career, you're building that up. You've decided that you're going to work on your career. You're not going to get married. Maybe you're not going to date. Maybe you're part of that movement, if you will. You're just kind of, frankly, sick of men shit. So you're working really hard. You got your animals. Maybe you got a nice puppy dog. Maybe you've got a couple dogs or whatever, and a bunny and a parrot or whatever. And you were to get into a car accident going to work. Horrible, right? Say you're in a coma. What happens then? So the situation then is that hopefully you have something in place, but if you don't, your next of kin will be called and hopefully they can make decisions for you. But think about this, so that you might not have that next of kin to make those decisions for you, or they might not be the people that you want to make those decisions. Maybe you don't have any family members who are close to you anymore. They passed away, or you're an only child. They're going to be looking at cousins or uncles or aunts or things like that down that line, who maybe you don't even know, making these decisions for you, right? From there, maybe you need to go into a rehab facility to help you learn to walk again, or to get your speech back, or to just get your strength back because you're in a really bad accident. Who's paying for your bills right now? Who's taking care of your animals at this point? You might want to appoint your friends, but your friends technically don't have the legal authority to do these things for you, right? That's why the estate planning is very important. So from there, say that maybe you don't get better and you have to go into a home, a facility, because you had that bad of an accident and you're really not there anymore. At that point, the state's going to take over. They might not be able to access your funds as easily. They might not be putting you into a place that you would want to go, even though you might have the funds. And then what happens when you pass away? Where does all those things go? So still, who's looking after your animals? Who's taking care of your house? Who's taking care of your bills? Who's making those medical decisions for you if you're not able to? These are big life things that we don't want to think about, but actually do happen in real life. So it's always good to have a little bit of pre-planning than post-planning chaos, if you will. Again, I always say death is the one guarantee that we have in life. Why would you not prepare for it? And particularly as a single woman making it happen out there, you need to be doubly sure to make sure that your stuff is taken care of for you when you're not able to or no longer with us. So very important. So again, writing down with that estate plan, that same scenario, say that you were in a car accident. Well, you have your estate plan in place. Those powers of attorney for finances are in place. So your best friend can come over and take care of your animals. They can enter your home. They can also go to your bank. They can take care of your bills. They can pay the mortgage. They can go pay the power bill, pay the cat food bill, or whatever it is, making sure that maybe there's a caretaker that comes and watches those animals for you because they have access to your funds. What about that medical component? So now your best friend or whoever it is able to now medically advocate for you. So you're in that coma, right? Because you're in that super bad accident. You're not coming out of it. What do you want to have done in that scenario? Okay. Now you get out and you are in that rehab facility. Again, who's still taking care of these bills for you? Who's taking care of your animals? Who's making sure that everything is being paid for and your assets are still staying afloat and aren't going anywhere or being neglected? Also for those medical decisions of how are you being advocated for in those situations of that rehab. And then what happens in the same scenario that you are not going to come out of that and you have to be placed into a facility. Within that estate plan, you have directions of how you want to go into a facility, who's going to pay for that, how's it going to be paid for, what level of care do you want. And then from there, you'll have in your pet trust where your animals are going to go, because if your facility doesn't allow them, who's going to take care of them? They're going to have the funds and resources to do so and honor your wishes and make sure that your loving animals that you've cared so much for are still being taken care of according to your wishes. So super two different scenarios. One is really chaotic, one is really horrible, frankly, and the other one is actually kind of harmonious and kind of easy for you. You're not having to stress about that as you're trying to heal. And two, your people are able to take care of that for you. Those plans are in place. So very important to have those things in place. If you have questions on getting that done, of course, let me know. Or if you want to talk about your cats, I'm down for that too, because I'm also a single cat lady. So today's Wine Talk, we're talking about the Primitivo. This is from the company called Portalupe. It's a Amador County, which is again a Sierra foothills. It's a 2020. As you know, that Primitivo is also an Italian grape. And in America, we call it a Zinfandel. So kind of distinct there, same. It's also called other things in the world, like in Croatia, which I can't pronounce, but you might be able to. So basically, kissing cousin grapes, same. We all call it the same thing. So whether it's Italian Primitivo, which is Italian Zin, or a US, it's a Zin. So of course, you're single lady with your cats, where your cat's going to go, make sure you get that set up in the estate plan. We gave the kind of the horrific scenario or the base case scenario with that. But you've worked hard for your stuff, you're doing well, and in this new political climate, which is very uncertain, we don't know what's going on, making sure everything's set up. You might as well have your things in a row, set up, whether anything happens or not, which hopefully everything is great. But if it's not, at least you have those things in place and ready to go in the future when we're all wearing red dresses. Thank you for listening to this podcast. If you found value, please like, subscribe, and share. And be sure to follow me on all the socials at Sips and Tips with Lindsay. And of course, you can always go to my website, sipsandtipswithlindsay.com, to find more information about estate planning, business, snowboard, travel, and of course, wine. As always, we have to get the legal stuff out of the way. I went to law school, so you don't have to. However, we have to read the special disclaimer that I am not a practicing attorney. I am not your attorney. I am not offering any legal advice in any content or any episode. All content is for your information and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for seeking your own legal advice from your own attorney or other professionals such as a CPA or financial advisor. I cannot give legal advice and do not offer any legal services or legal advice, but I do offer some fun and educational content for you to enjoy.